So I'll need the link to your screen so I can put it up on my big screen over there.
Yes, let me... Should I email it to you or text it to you or...
Email would be easiest, yeah.
Gotcha. I will do that now. Okay, I just hit send. You got it? Fantastic.
Yes, I do.
Now, I wish there was a way for me to make it to where all I could see was your screen, but I don't think I can.
This way now? No.
Yeah, I don't think I can. Well, I guess that's going to be okay then.
Yeah, we may be looking to use a different platform in the future, like
Right.
Zoom or something.
Right. But start. I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay, so are we going to begin at the very beginning?
If you'd like to, but I think we are. Are we both on the same step? I think we are, with blocks. Yeah.
Okay, good. What I have here, is a bare form.
Okay.
And blocks that are mostly prepared. I've got my riser sticks. So I'm not quite as far along as you are just yet, but that's not a problem.
Okay.
I'll go grab my glue. Well, I guess I'm not quite ready for my glue line yet. So my upper and lower blocks are still a little oversized in terms of length. I've already gone ahead and squared them up, so I'm going to have to cut those to length and then do a little planing, and then I'll be able to fit those in there.
Right.
So I'll look to work on that. In the meantime, what operation are you doing?
Well, my next operation would be, roughing out the C-bouts, right?
Yeah.
Roughing out the C-bouts. And, obviously don't want to mess that up. So, do you have any tricks and tips like, the knife, yeah? Get in the chamfer?
Yeah. So, how did you get your corner shapes on there? Do you have a template?
Yeah, I'm using a template, and the way I'm setting up the template, I'm sure you know what a template looks like. I don't need to get you the template. I'm using a template, and I took a ruler. I'm not sure how much of this you can see. I took a ruler and drew a straight line across from the form out, and then lined the template up on both sides of the lines with this.
That's good.
Right.
Good. Did the template come with the form?
Yes.
Nice. Okay, so that should all be very reliably indexed to the form. And so you've drawn your corner shapes on both sides of the block, I assume?
Yep. Once here and then once here. Yep.
Groovy. Okay, so I know you don't have an in-candle gouge, so you're going to be carving these shapes with an ordinary gouge, right?
I have one in-candle gouge, but it is in no way, shape, or form sharp, or in a way that is helpful, right? Because sharpening this thing is impossible. It can't be done.
It's really annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best way to do that is if you can get access to a grinder that has a radius wheel to put a hollow grind on that, and then that makes using the slipstones on that surface much easier to index because it'll ride the front and then the back.
Yeah.
And then of course, what I have found with in-candle gouges from even really good tool makers factory tool makers like Dastra
Okay.
is that flattening the back, which is super important, just takes fucking ever.
Right.
So I was really lucky when I bought that Carl's infill. It was already dead flat, and it was already really far out of the box. And granted, like, there's not much of a hollow on this, but, like, I mean, I haven't really had to touch it.
Right.
So at some point I'll need to regrind it and stuff like that. I don't have a radius wheel, so I'll have to either get one or, like, find somebody that can let me use their grinder.
Right.
But yeah, for the corner block gouge, I'd recommend a hollow grind. And I don't hollow grind the rest of my gouges, although, you know, obviously doing so would make them easier to hone on flat stones. But because I use a belt machine for gouges and finger plane blades, you know, just what they call Scandinavian straight grind is fine for me. But anyway, yeah, so it looks like you're in good shape. If you've got sort of like a lot of the waste out of the way already, which it kind of looks like you do, go ahead and get out your knife, and then pare back until the pencil lines just disappear.
Just disappear. So don't leave any of it.
That's right, because if you leave the pencil lines, what you'll start doing is introducing what's known as pencil creep.
Right.
Where things just get bigger and bigger by the width of a pencil line. So yeah, you wanna carefully pare, you know, noting the grain direction until the pencil lines just disappear.
Gotcha. Okay.
Is your knife nice and sharp?
That it is.
Great. Very good.
Perfect.
Do you have a handle for it? Oh, you don't.
I don't have a handle for it. See, that's the thing. We need to make a violin.
Do you have any like paracord or anything like that?
I don't have any paracord. I have some of this, but I don't know. I don't think this would be particularly helpful. You know, bit of.
Yeah, that's a little too small.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if you had like some strips of leather or paracord, you could make a wrapped handle for it.
Right.
Which obviously you would have to take off each time you want to sharpen the damn thing.
Right.
But I mean, if you feel like you have reasonable control over the knife without a handle, it'll be okay for right now. At some point you'll want a handle though. I have found that a chunkier handle, it's got sort of an octagonal cross section.
Right.
It's, you know, pretty beefy.
Yeah.
Something about having a chunkier handle gives me like more sort of radial control over the cut. So something to consider.
Right. Okay.
All right.
So when you say the waste wood, is that enough waste wood away to start knifing?
I'd take more off.
Yeah.
Like maybe like get within 2 millimeters.
Gotcha.
Of the line. Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. I'll be sharpening the locks.
Yeah. Oh no.
And, you know, I mean, you've got the right idea. You need to have some kind of backing to what you're doing. I'm just wondering if ergonomically position yourself in a chair, and then cut like towards the bench apron, so that you're not leaning over like this.
Ooh, yeah, I see what you're saying. So something like this, yeah.
I mean, it can be a little fatiguing on the left hand because you're using the left hand essentially to clamp the area to the apron.
Right.
Another thing you can do if the apron itself has, if it's a proper apron and has like a bit of hook, you can use a small trigger clamp to leave it in place, and then that way you can just support with the left hand as opposed to like holding it to the apron.
Like this. One of these, right?
Yeah. You've got a fair number of fiddles in your racks there. What's the story on those?
Yeah, so I'm gonna embarrass myself right now. I can't believe I'm admitting this. This was bought specifically and only for the purpose of destroying with varnish, practice French polishing, practice different stripping and varnishing techniques. I picked it up at a garage sale for like $12, I think.
Wow, that's a good deal.
Yeah. It's not worth much. It is not much to look at. This one right here, on the left of the three, this is my first ever violin ever. It is a true Amazon violin-shaped object. It's terrible. It is.
Oh wow.
Yeah, truly terrible. And then this final one, I bought purely just because it has a one-piece back, and I wanted to say I had a one-piece back violin. And I think I bought it at an estate sale for like $200. And then this is the violin that I actually play, and I bought this one from Violin Shop Tampa, from Derek's shop, the one in the center. But when I'm clamping this to the apron, yeah, what do you reckon is the way to clamp this in a way that is not going to rip my blocks off, right? So if I just clamped from apron to block 1, should I be all right?
Yeah, so I'd recommend having both corners on there, and you don't have to clamp to the block necessarily, although it's probably a good idea, the block that you're not cutting. You can also, clamp just to the form, but, just use only enough clamping pressure to hold it in place.
Right.
Is the idea.
So if I were to clamp to the form, right? Like if I were to clamp to the form, right? Then I'm not going to have a backdrop against the apron because I guess.
Yeah, I would say, yeah. Sorry, what I was suggesting is that you just like position it like you have it right there.
Right.
But then apply the pad of the clamp to the form just inside of the block, for example.
Yeah.
But I think that your original instinct to clamp the block that you're not carving was the better one.
Yeah. Because I think there's. Yeah, I don't think there's a real way for me to. See, it's you see how it's going to tilt, right? The more pressure I put, the more it's going to tilt. Yeah. And then I wonder if it's even possible to tilt, to clamp the left side as well. Yeah, see, I don't want to break anything. I'm very uncomfortable with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't want to pop the block off the form, but if you do, it's also not the end of the world because you can glue it back on.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm just trying to give you options.
Right.
If you're comfortable just using your left hand as the clamp, then I mean that's obviously fine.
Look at that. Yeah.
It's just a little fatiguing, is all.
Right.
Yeah. There you go.
Mm-hmm. The knifing the chamfer just started, so I can't really.
That and how did you like the ergonomics of carving against the apron as opposed to downward onto the bench?
Oh, my back feels a lot better. I'll tell you that. Yeah, my back much prefers that. Yeah.
Another thing that you can do to make that easier is you can do a bit of an extension on the apron, like a temporary one, like just a plank of whatever you have lying around, so that you can position more of the blocks on it when you're carving.
Yeah.
And maybe even drop it down a little bit lower.
Right.
Or conversely, you can clamp something into that front vise on your bench, like a backboard. Let me demonstrate that.
Yep.
So this piece isn't really big enough, but like it'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So like, you go to your front vise, and you clamp a board in it like that.
Yep.
And then let's just grab a form, say, even though it doesn't have blocks on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put it here and then carve against it like that.
Right. Yeah. I see. And then because then you can really you can get your hand directly onto the form and the top of the board.
Yeah. So if you have a big enough piece of like 1/2 inch ply or whatever lying around, then that's even better than what you're doing now.
Right. Yeah. See, I have some 1/2 inch ply. It's out in my closet, but yes, I'll have to use that. See, Jackson, the more I work with this stinking knife, I've heard before of the saying of the moment you start to have to work, something's wrong, right? Yeah, with that knife, I'm feeling work. So we need to stop there really quickly and sharpen, but in a way that makes it to where I don't have to work, right? So let's do 400 grit Waterstone. I don't know if you can see this yet. This is my Waterstone don't destroy and mold up your bench setup that you're seeing right now. 400 grit stone, already flattened. Now let's talk how to hold this stinking thing so that it actually gets sharp, right?
So I'm turning my mic on and off because when I leave my mic on, you break up a lot because of, I think, the feedback loop situation and the noise filtration that's built into Instagram. So I'll have to play around with stuff. I may need to get myself a webcam too, so this goes smoother. But yeah, so presently, is your knife flat ground or hollow ground?
This one is a flat grind, I believe. I don't know how you can see this. You can't see it?
I saw your mouth moving, but I didn't hear any sound.
Oh, I said I think that this is a flat grind. There were some pretty when I got it, there were some pretty hefty striations down both sides, and I grinded on 280 grit, then 220 grit until they were completely gone on both sides. And there were no striations from the original grind left. But any variation on the grind right now is from hands moving because I don't have a jig, right?
So, I've yet to come up with a jig for knife sharpening that I like.
Mm-hmm.
Although I haven't tried one designed by J.P. Schmidt, who makes knives for violin makers. I'll have to send you a link to his website, but basically, like, it's got a little magnet to hold the blade in a certain position, and then it has a little nylon screw on the other end that acts as a pivot,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to sort of sweep the blade across the surface of the stone.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it would work well. I haven't tried it yet because I hollow grind my knives, and then I can just index on the bevel and heel of the grind.
Right.
Sharpening a hollow ground versus a flat ground knife on Waterstones freehand is the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You use the same technique. It's just a little easier to do it if it's hollow ground because of that indexing.
Right.
Would it be helpful if I showed you how I do it?
Yes, very much so. Yes.
Okay. All right. Let me get set up to do that.
Got it. And what grit do you start at if you were trying to change whether you had a varied angle like I do here on this? What? Sorry, that probably made no sense at all. Let me say that in a way that does make sense. If you have a grind that sucks because your hand was moving because you weren't using a jig, what grit would you start with to reshape the steel correctly?
So if you're totally dissatisfied with the bevel that you have right now, you want to go as coarse as you can.
Right. Okay.
And that might even mean, like sandpaper on glass if you don't have a stone that's super coarse.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think. I'm struggling here to think of what you do except for to try to be very, very careful while grinding it freehand. Let me show you the technique because it's going to apply to whatever abrasive that you're doing it on.
Right.
Let me grab my stone.
Got it.
So, got my knife.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's got a hollow grind on it and a pretty wide bevel, which again is good for indexing. If you have knives that are thicker, when you grind the desired angle, you're going to have a broader bevel, which is just easier to index. This is a Narex high-speed steel knife.
Mm-hmm.
It's cheap. I think I got it on Amazon for like $12 or something like that.
Right.
The steel is okay. It's not amazing steel, but due to the thickness and the shape of this knife, as I ground it with this radius, it came with a straight edge. It's my go-to for a lot of things.
Right.
Bass bars, pitch beat, so on. So anyway, the technique. I'm gonna start with 1,000 grit stone. And I just flatten these bad boys. So I'm gonna try to get a camera angle here that's like most advantageous.
Mm-hmm.
We might need to do a couple angles, but so I'm going to hold it sort of like this, right? And then I'm going to lay it on the stone and then tilt it until I feel contact.
Okay.
And so you can see I'm putting my index finger about at the middle of the edge of the blade, so that basically with one hand I can push it down and it's now registering on the flat.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so now, doing that, I'm going to draw the blade toward myself across the stone. And as I do so, I'm going to start at the heel, the lowermost point of the edge.
Yeah.
And then with each stroke, I'm going to apply pressure further and further up until I get to the point.
Right.
So... Okay, and so inspecting the edge, I can see that I don't know how clear this is going to come across, but I've polished sort of several areas.
Yeah.
But it's not super uniform.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to apply a little more water to the stone, and I'm going to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And things will just even out.
Right.
So tilt it up until it's in full contact. Draw. And you can even rock it a bit as you draw.
Right.
Alright, that's looking better already.
Right.
I could use a little bit more right at the tip, so I'm just going to go ahead and do a couple draws right at the tip. Actually,
Right.
This is probably a candidate for a regrind at this point, but we're going to make it work. Alright. So I'm happy with this side now.
Yeah.
So what comes next is exactly the same thing on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of variables depending on what is most comfortable to you
Mm-hmm.
and most secure. If you want to stick with your dominant hand, you just flip the blade over and do it away from yourself as opposed to drawing towards yourself.
Yeah.
If it's more comfortable though, you can switch to your non-dominant hand and then do the same thing, just,
Oh, I don't like that. Yeah.
What I prefer is to stick with my dominant hand.
Yeah.
I'm just more secure with it. So I'll go like that. It's good to not have shit in the way.
Right, yeah.
I'll take a look. It's looking pretty good, but again, at the tip, not quite as much. And that's just usually the big, just because it's the most difficult area to apply pressure.
Right.
But yeah, using the downward force to register the flat, using the hand that's holding the blade relatively lightly, just supporting. Because if you engage this hand too much, you're more likely to go one way or the other and change the bevel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I've read before when it comes to sharpening that all you need is 4 pounds of pressure, right? To sharpen. I've read before that when you're sharpening and you're using water stones, all you need is 4 pounds of pressure. You say that's correct? Okay, perfect. I'm gonna make sure I got this right then.
Yeah, you really don't, especially with the modern synthetic Japanese water stones like the ones that I'm using. Very, very little pressure is needed. You just need enough pressure to securely index the bevel.
Right. Okay. Got it. Okay, I've got the feel for 4 pounds now. Okay, so then actually I have a question here for you. Then, I have flat glass here, a little bit of flat glass, and when it comes to flattening the back of a chisel, it's pretty easy to do this because I can take my hand, right, put a little bit of water at the bottom to keep it a little abrasive, and push it down. if I need two hands, I can't do that anymore, right? Because now that I got this stuff that's going to be sliding around and stuff like that, and I don't like gluing things to my glass because then I have to get a razor blade out and then I have to get glass cleaner out and polish it off later. Is there any system that you know of that I can flatten with two hands, that I can use two hands with this without, it doesn't require glue?
Yeah, so depending on the nature of your sandpaper, sometimes just like having a spray bottle of water, misting the glass, and then slapping the sandpaper down, the surface tension of the water will keep it there.
Okay, let me go get a spray bottle. If I have one, I'll be right back.
If not, you can just splash some water on the glass and then like rub the sandpaper around in the little splash of water
right.
until it sticks well.
Right. Yeah. But I would imagine that there's like if you have like if you've got a gigantic bloblet of water, then it's just going to move around after it moves. So the mist action is what I'm looking for. One moment. Yeah. No empty spray bottles. I have one that has a whole bunch of weed killer in it, but I'm not going to dump out my landlord's weed killer. I don't think they'd be too happy with that. Okay.
Yeah. So just like flick water at
right.
the glass, and then like I said, slap the sandpaper down and give it a little of that, and
right.
then you'll feel it grab.
Right.
I'm going to go over to the other screen and just watch for a sec.
Okay. Oh, I got a little bit of a flat.
Yeah, it looks like you got too much spring in your paper.
Yeah, it really wants to curl.
What grit is that?
This is 80.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. That's part of it, but
I could do something like this. I've got some 220 here. Let me see, I don't like that overhang. It's not cut straight. You see that curl?
yeah, I do. So this isn't going to work for you right now. So let's move on.
Okay.
You said you had a 400 grit stone?
Yeah, I have 400 grit stone right here. This is flat.
That's pretty coarse. Why don't you see how well you can reshape the bevel with that?
Okay.
Also, consider getting another piece of glass so that you can glue sandpaper to it with 3M spray adhesive. Or alternatively, if you go to a place that does granite countertops, you can get sometimes a cutoff, or sometimes you can get just like a 12 by 12 granite tile. Those are flat, so that can also be your standing plate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, if you could hold your knife in the correct way so that way I can copy, right? Okay. Gotcha. if you can see this, I've got more of my polish happening at the tip than at the heel.
Yeah, I do see that. So it's going to be a little different for everybody, because of body mechanics.
Right.
But yeah. Also, at some point, and I know it can be a big investment, but at some point you are definitely going to want a grinder. And you're going to want to set it up with a good quality tool rest. Usually the ones that come with them are really bad.
Right.
I'll have to show you a picture of my grinder, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend you do what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I designed and built my own variable speed DC grinder.
Right.
And it's great, don't get me wrong, it's just a pretty expensive way to go about it. When you can get by just fine with a typical AC motor bench grinder like the Rikon. A lot of people really like the Rikon. It's not too expensive, what they call the slow speed Rikon bench grinder. And I would definitely recommend replacing the wheels with CBN wheels, cubic boron nitride. I personally prefer a tighter radius because it means I can sharpen more times between grinding, because there's a bigger hollow, as it were. So
right.
I like a 6-inch wheel better than an 8-inch wheel.
Right.
And you could even, because the grinders have two sides, you could put your flat wheel on one side for doing all your grinding needs,
mm-hmm.
and then on the other side you could have a radius wheel for doing your in channel, and it comes in handy for a couple of other things too,
right.
but it's mostly the in channel.
Right.
And you can switch the wheels off too. You could have the radius wheel on part of the time, and then have a hard buffing wheel on the other part of the time.
Right. See, my original plan was to not have any power tools or anything like that, but seeing the usefulness of a grinder is just my old ways of not wanting any power tools is slowly melting away. You know what I mean? Yeah. Grinders, they just look too good.
I mean, you got that bandsaw after all, so
yeah.
Your power tool cherry has been popped.
Yeah. Now I'm just gonna use it. Ugh.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna shut up and walk you here.
Okay.
I'll pipe in if I've got something for you. So don't take too many passes on one side without switching to the other.
Right, yeah, okay.
Balance it out.
Okay. And now, when I hold this, like this, is this how you would hold it? Almost as if you were holding, a pencil? If I'm trying to do it the opposite way.
Yeah. Let me grab a blade so that I can demonstrate. So if when you're drawing it's like this, then when you're pushing it's like this. Maybe use something like chopsticks. You know what I mean? Because then you're sort of guiding it with the pinky, like when you use a bow.
Yeah.
And then.
Okay.
But try other things, and if something feels more comfortable, more secure, then stick with it.
Right. See, now I want to grab it like chopsticks. I want to grab it the way I eat my noodles. I need to do that. See, I don't like that. Now I forget what I was doing. How was I holding it the first time? Do you remember? That sounds silly. Do you remember how I was holding it the first time?
I think you were doing it more like a pencil initially. Remember that you want the orientation of the tip and the bevel the same, whether you're pulling or pushing. So, like, for example, if the edge is facing towards the inside of the stone when you're drawing, which it almost certainly is, then when you flip it over, you want the edge facing the inside of the stone too. You don't want to, like, flip it over and then turn it 180.
Ah, yes. Yes, this. I got it. I remember.
Okay.
Thank you. That made perfect sense. I would get stuff out of the way. Ooh. Oh.
Do you have like a loop or a magnifying glass that you can use to inspect the edge?
I don't have a loop or a magnifying glass.
Okay, I was just curious because sometimes that can be helpful. Do you feel a wire edge forming as you're honing?
Right now, no. I can't feel the burr.
Okay. Do you have good eyesight when you hold it up underneath the lamp? Do you see the edge? Because if you see the edge, that means it's not there yet.
Right.
You don't want to see that glimmering line. You just want to see like a perfect intersection, right?
I am most definitely seeing a glimmering, an intersection right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I most definitely see the glimmer.
Well, if you're satisfied that the planes are meeting, you can move on to a finer grid at this point.
Well, if I can feel, so I don't know what the way to describe this is, but generally speaking, if I am holding an edge that I have, right? So, like, for example, if I were to grab one of my chisels that I know is sharp, right? I can take paper and cut it. If I were to run my finger across it, I can feel that bite. I can feel that edge catch, right? I'm not experiencing that right here, and in fact, what I really feel is a rollover, like it's rolled over, rather than coming to a point. One side feels like it's like the top of a C, and then the other side is not that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And that may be, we might be coming up against the limitations of sharpening in this way with a flat bevel. So I'm just going to go ahead and spoil the surprise. In the box, along with some other things, are two knives.
Oh, no!
That I have hollow ground, but not stoned.
Right.
So they're going to arrive like ready to be stoned. And when you take it to the rock, you're going to notice immediately how much easier it is to index that to the stone.
See, you're poisoning me, because now I'm gonna go buy a grinder. As soon as I get this, I'm gonna go buy a grinder. Like I'm not gonna be able to. I'll never go back, right?
It is helpful. It really is. anyway, like if you feel like you're starting to get the hang for it, then go ahead and continue trying to get rid of that rounding and make the intersection happen.
Right.
And then move on to a finer grit.
Right.
Otherwise, if you feel like eating up too much time, because we only have about 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, I can come back after my appointment. My
Right.
appointment's going to be about an hour.
Right.
I know that you're going somewhere this evening too, so
Right.
we'll play it by ear.
Mm-hmm.
We can also move on to something else if you have something else to work
on. I think that the best thing I have to work on right now is this and getting the blocks done, because I have some ribstock here that actually this could be good. This could be good. I've got some ribstock here, and this is what I was doing earlier, in which I've planed it down to roughly 1.2, 1.1 all the way across, except I feel as though if I were to have a tooth scraper, right, because this, if I use if I use this block plane, right, this Lee Nielsen block plane, it bites so stinking hard into the wood, it just trashes any maple it touches, right? If I were to have a tooth scraper, right, take off less wood at a time, I could then scrape very easily and achieve perfect uniformity of 1.1, 1.2 all the way across. I don't have that yet, so I have to completely freehand scrape down like point. In fact, some of my stock is like 1.9, 2.6. So I have to freehand scrape 0.8 millimeters off with a scraper. It is. I always have pockets and divots and low spots. If I don't have a tooth scraper, what can I do to mitigate that?
There's a couple things that you can do here. One of them involves just planing technique. So I know that Lee Nielsen sells a toothed blade for that block plane. That might be worth investing
right.
in. The other thing that you can do to make planing figured wood a little bit easier is to put a slightly steeper micro bevel. And when I say micro bevel, I mean micro.
Yeah,
like a couple passes on your finest stone. That's it.
Right.
But barring that, if your plane is already nice and sharp
yeah.
at the bevel that it's currently at, anchor the rib securely. And usually that means like clamping the end that's closest to you down to the bench, and then working away from yourself.
Yeah.
But what really matters here is the angle of the blade to the angle of the figure.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
If you have the plane set extremely finely and you close the mouth of the plane as much as is possible.
Okay.
It's an adjustable mouth plane, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So set it really fine and make sure it's even across the mouth, and then set the mouth very fine, very close. And then, so say for example, Jamal, look at me for a second. Say for example, your flames are going this way. You want to be skewing your plane so that it's at the other diagonal, right? So if the flames are going this way, you want to be planing with your plane skewed this way.
Okay. So if I've got flames that look like this, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are pretty straight.
Right.
So still, that's good in a way, because like if they're perfectly straight, you can skew the plane whatever way you wish. But
okay.
just make sure that the blade is approaching the figure at like a 45-degree angle.
Right. Okay. So you would say that whenever you're planing your ribstock, you've got your plane like this on it. Yeah. See, whenever I've done this, the problem with doing this for myself is that I can't sight the plane. You know, I've heard of some people who they can get a light and they can really sight the plane. The more I skew it, right? The more I'm going to really dig in deep on one side, because the iron is just ever so slightly cocked, by like an eighth of a millimeter or something like that. I've tried in the past using flat glass, right? Where I don't know if you can you can see this on the big screen. I've tried in the past using a piece of flat glass and then putting the plane on it. So I would back the blade way up, right? So I get this to be a pretty big spot, and then put it here, and then push it forward, and then just the same way in which I would do this with one of my smaller planes like this, right? I would loosen this screw, set it on here, and then lift it up and just ever so slightly push it until I feel it go even, right? Then start to screw it forward, right? Do something like that. Even when I do this, I feel as though I cannot get my plane to actually be this angle to actually be what would it be? Parallel with this with the shoe. And when you from what I've noticed is, especially if you have if it's skewed up this way, right? If you turn it this way, you're gonna dig so stinking deep into your wood, you're gonna trash whatever you're working on, right? How do you set your iron?
Well, I sight it. So if you can work on developing that skill, that would be great. But there is a little trick. Let me grab something real quick here. Adjuster.
Okay.
Because as opposed to wiggling the blade itself, you loosen the cap iron just a little bit. I mean, like barely.
Right.
And then I sight it. It's good to have like a solid background, right? And then I can wiggle the Norris adjuster this way or that to skew the blade in the direction it needs to be skewed in order to make it parallel. So let's say I've got it where I want it. I tighten it back up. Then you take a piece of wood that's flat-ish, and then on one side only, you make a small cut. The chip tore off, but I was hoping it would stay.
Right.
So what you do then is you take your calipers and you measure the thickness of that chip.
Correct.
And you write it down.
Uh-huh.
Then you make a small cut on the other side of the blade. And see, I left it hanging that time. And then you measure the thickness of that with your caliper. And then you note the difference, and then move the blade ever so slightly, maybe even tapping it with a small hammer if that's more controllable, in order to skew it in the appropriate direction. And then you repeat this test until you're reading the same thickness of shaving on both sides, and you know that it's level.
Okay. So then I guess the hardest part of that is getting a piece of wood that's actually flat. Because if the plate.
Sandpaper on glass.
What was it, sorry?
Sandpaper on glass.
Yeah, sandpaper on glass. We got a glue then, son of a gun. Yeah. Actually, no, we could hold that down with wood. Okay, fantastic. So then, I think out of all of this, then, what I get is, Jamal, you just need to suck it up and just invest in a toothed plane, right? And make my life 16 times easier. So I think I'm just gonna have to do that. But since you have to go and you have to go to your appointment, I am going to sit here and continue working on this knife, and I am leaving at 6:45 ish. So I don't know what time you'll be back. Actually, what time is that for you? That's 3:45 ish.
That's correct, and I'll be checking in with you at about 3.
Okay, fantastic. So we can do like a quick 45-minute, yeah?
Alright.
Okay.
Talk soon.
Sounds good. I'll see you in a bit. Alright, bye. New Baroque, are you making a violin? I am so sorry that I was unable to respond. I was on a phone call with a luthier. I am making a violin, yes. So sorry for taking 10 minutes to reply to your message. OMG, I remember doing this. Doing what? Sharpening? Or playing Chacon? Knife sharpening? Oh, if only I knew how to sharpen knives. Wouldn't that be nice, huh? I'm working on it. It's a skill I'm still developing. Are you a maker? Jerry Pashovitz taught me how to do the curved knife sharpening. Oh, like a fillet knife? See, I can't even do a straight knife, let alone a curved knife. You're a player? I'm assuming you play Baroque music. Do you play on a Baroque violin? But I used to rehair bows in the shop. It's so tricky. Rehairing bows, it looks so deceptively hard. Like, it looks easy, you know, right? You know, cut the hairs, comb it out, tie it, put it on there, and tighten it, right? Yeah, it can't be that easy. Now you play a normal violin. What are you playing on right now? It is very hard to rehair bows. Oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah, I stay completely away from bows. I've got a rack of bows that I'll play, but I don't make bows. I don't rehair bows. The most complicated thing I can do with the bow hair, I'll show you right now. This is it, right here. This is what I do. This is the extent to my bow efforts. I won't do anything more than this. See, I'll go ahead and I'll unscrew this. I'll unscrew this, right? Unslot this. Let this hang. Oh, I don't know how much of this you could. Let me go ahead and move you to the big screen, actually. Right. I would, do something like this. And then I'd take, a paper towel and get all the gunk and sweat and mold and stuff like that out of there. Then bring this son of a gun back. Let it hang. Make sure that it's not twisted up or anything like that. Move him back. Put the screw back in it. You play a modern Italian Vin and Houchard bow. I've heard a lot about the Houchard bows. I'll tell you what, I've heard a lot about those. Not as much as I've heard. I hear a lot about right now, like the big bow that's like being sold to like all upper level students, medium level students is Marco Raposo's from South America. Where am I based? I live in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. Cool? Yeah, Washington, D.C. kind of sucks, I gotta be honest. If I could, I'd live in, I don't know, probably something like rural Maine, rural Pennsylvania, somewhere like that. Up in the Northeast, somewhere rural, get a little bit of snow in the wintertime. In my quiet little house, in my quiet little neighborhood. Actually, no, I don't want to live in a neighborhood, but in a quiet town, raise kids, make violins. That's what I want to do. I don't have kids yet, but I will have kids. Can you play Chacon? Can you play this? If I have a medicine cup, you can press it into the tip of the knife onto the sharpening stone. If I have a what is a medicine cup? What is a medicine cup? 1 second. Oh, okay, I know what that is now. I probably look like a bit of an idiot there, huh? Like the one for NyQuil, yeah. If I have a medicine cup. See, I don't have a medicine cup, that's the thing. Or a plastic lid or something. And what you would do is you'd push it right onto the tip there, eh? Does that work? Yes, you've played Chacon. You say that like it's easy. I wish I would, man. What I would not do to be able to play this piece. I didn't start too long ago. This guy says, "Yeah, I play Chacon. Of course I do." Imagine being able to play Chacon. Could you imagine playing Chacon? Oh my goodness! It's one of the pieces I'm going to play before I die. But I can't play it yet. It's a fantastic piece of music. I make the argument that it's the greatest piece of musical literature ever written. Han plays it well too. Yeah, this is the James Ennis version. I'll injure your soul. Ivry Gitlis is my favorite interpretation of Chacon. Ivry Gitlis. I love Ivry Gitlis' Chacon. Then my second favorite is probably Yehudi Menuhin. I love Menuhin's interpretation of Chacon. And then my third favorite is probably Midori. I love Midori's Chacon. You were in a master class with Ennis yesterday on Zoom. No way. Really. The James Ennis. Huh? I had a violin teacher who she took lessons from James Ennis and had a master class or two with him too. Could you imagine being taught by that? The guy's a hunk too. You know, he's a good-looking man, so he's got everything going for him. Plays Chacon, plays all this amazing, difficult music, and he looks great too. Son of a gun. Gitlis is amazing. Oh, Gitlis is my man. I love Gitlis. Love Gitlis. I love that really dirty sound he has. James Ennis has an expensive violin. Yes, he does. The most expensive violin in the world right now. I think Anne Ikiko Myers plays on it right now. The American. She plays on Guarneri's Vuitton. Yeah, Perlman plays on the Soil Strad. Joshua Bell plays on the Red. Hilary Hahn, I don't remember which one she plays on. I don't remember. Do you remember what violin James Ennis plays? I bet you money he plays on a Strad. Han plays a violon. Yeah. She plays on a violon. Exactly. Han has two violins. My favorite violins to listen to, out of all the shops and stuff like that I've been in, out of all the violins I've heard, I prefer French violins over Italian violins. I know that makes me, you know, like a heretic or something like that, but I prefer French violins over Italian violins. In fact, actually, my favorite violin I've ever heard in my entire life, it was made in like 1992, so it's like a brand new violin, like brand spanking new violin, made by a maker out of North Carolina. My favorite violin I've ever heard in my entire life. So I know that makes me, you know, it's like really sacrilegious to say that your favorite violin is a 1990 something American. But oh man, it just sounded so good. It like filled the room, but it didn't like hammer the room. Because, like, I would say that there's a lot of Italian violins hammer the room that they're in. Like, and that's like one out of all traits, I would say that's like probably the most consistent trait of Italian violins is they're really loud. Like Italian violins are super loud, which is not a bad thing, right? Like it's not a bad thing to be loud. Like you want it to be loud, especially if you're making a violin for like a soloist. But I've always felt that filling a room doesn't mean you have to hammer the room, and not all Italian violins hammer the room. Don't get me wrong, but this violin, this 1992 violin from an American, it absolutely filled the room, but it hugged the room, it caressed every corner of the room. It was amazing. Like I couldn't believe I was listening to that in person. It was really awesome. But then again, also, I've never heard Vieuxtemps in person. I've never heard the Soil Strad or the Red Strad. I've never heard a Viome in person. So I don't know. Yeah, Joseph Curtin in Zoom class today? How was that, man? Soil Strat is beautiful. Soil, man. Isn't it pretty? Yeah, it's a pretty violin. My favorite looking violin. Here, you can take a look at it here really quickly. This is my favorite violin to look at. Love it. Absolutely love it. It's Guarneri's Brusilov. Love it. Absolutely love it. He showed us his ultralight instrument. What is his ultralight instrument? Does it have a name? The Brusilov, man. I love that instrument. I love looking at that Guarneri. Not sure, it's just a cool bottom looking violin, I understand. Is that a hawk blade? No, this is a Herdim blade. I don't know if you can read the name. It's a Herdim blade. I don't remember much about knives. Man, I don't know anything about lives, so you being able to remember a little bit about it is impressive to me. Much better. Fantastic. I always ended up getting it close, then stropping. See, I have a strop. I have the ability to strop. I lost my stinking buffing compound. I can't find it anywhere. I have no idea where my buffing compound. I know that I'm gonna tear apart my workshop one day, and I'm just gonna find it, and it's not gonna be that big of a deal. And I'm gonna wish I did it earlier, but I just don't want to right now. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's how it is. I'm lazy, you know? As you can see, I'm now moving my super expensive, extremely advanced, technologically sound, anti-bench molding and rotting kit right now. my very expensive. It's priceless, actually. It's just a garbage bag. I was always misplacing things in the shop. Oh, misplacing things in the shop is like my first. It's like my middle name. It's what I do. What you're looking for is usually in front of you, behind something. Oh, I looked for this little piece. Let me show you. Oh, it's funny. Funny. See, I saw it for just a second before I knocked it back into the bottom of the pile. There it is. Okay, I got it. I found it. This piece right here, I looked for this piece, a little corner block template, for weeks, and it was in one of these bench dog holes. Oh, your phone's at 1%. Gotta head out. Hey, no worries. Good luck. Hey, thanks for stopping by, brother. I appreciate it. Tiny. It was so unlucky. So unlucky. Hey, good luck. I'll see you. Oh, I need to update my title too. See, that is what will work. I don't have enough. Hello? Wow, that was quick. That was really quick.
Well, therapists only agree to see you for an hour at a time.
Right,
so.
right. I see. So I guess we're back then, huh? Wow, I was not expecting it to be that. How were you really gone for an hour?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't gone. I do therapy over the phone.
Right.
But, yeah.
That was a full hour? Dang. Dude, I'm not kidding you. I love this. Like I just get completely entranced, and it's the only thing I can think about. That I seriously thought you were calling me, and you were going to be like, "Yo, I got out like half an hour, 45 minminutes early." I seriously thought I'd been here for 15 minutes.
Wow. That's how the flow works, and it's a beautiful feeling. And one of the reasons I'm excited about doing this with you is because I've been doing this for a while, 5-6 years, and I'm having a harder time than I used to, staying jazzed about it. So, I'm hoping that some of your infectious enthusiasm rub off on me.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope I can infect you, because, man, the reason why I'm doing this as a hobby is precisely so that I never lose that jazzed feeling about doing it, So if there's anything I can do to somebody who is doing this as their job and as their means of providing for themselves and for their family, I'd like to do that. I'd like to do anything I can for that. And if you make great instruments, my God, because I will have when I come to your shop, do you have any violins that you've made left that are still in your shop?
Well, not really. The only thing I have around is my first ever violin, which, I'll pull it out and we can laugh at it together.
We can play on it, right?
It's not set up right now because I've been using it as a varnish test dummy for a long time. I just strip it and repaint it, strip it, repaint it.
Is it? It's not August 3rd, so I think we've got time to set it up. Yeah, month. You think you could do one setup in a month? I know I'm pushing it. I know we're really pushing the old work schedule, but I would love to play on your first violin. That'd be pretty killer,
I think we can make that happen.
Yeah.
I need to order a new set of strings for it. But I mean, it's still got a post in it. I still got the bridge that was on it when I took it down. I just need to put the fingerboard back on and put the bridge back on and make sure everything's in the zone. And, and then it took away.
How long do you reckon it would take for you to teach me how to make a bridge? How long do you reckon it would take you to teach me how to make a bridge? Like if I was in your shop?
That's a tough question to answer just because, it depends on your learning style and how fast, you pick things up. But I mean, I think it's fairly reasonable to just spend a day on bridges, you know, and then you should have a fairly good grasp of the fundamentals of it, and be able to experiment with it from there. If you're interested in doing that, just bring out some bridge blanks, and don't buy expensive stuff. I would say get Despiel 1 trees or something like that.
Right.
The 3 trees are too nice to experiment on. But Despiel 1 trees are still decent wood. Tellers are fine.
Yeah.
Just bring some bridges out that you don't mind butchering because you're not going to get it right the first time.
Right. Yeah. I can most definitely bring some bridges that I don't mind butchering, because that's definitely one thing that I feel like if there's something that I like, if there are skills that I need to have, absolutely need to have, it's setup stuff, setup skills, because that's stuff that everybody has setup problems. Everybody needs you to, can you carve me a bridge? Everybody needs, can you play, not play my fingerboard, can you groove my nuts, right? So I feel like if there's one, and soundpost work, right? I feel like that's stuff that like everybody has that need, everybody has that ask, and so I don't want it to have to be like, hey, I don't know how to do that for you. You see what I'm saying? Right. Like I'm not going to set it up like a master, but I can at least set up violin for you.
But yeah, no. Even as a maker exclusively, being able to do setup well, and I won't claim that I do setup at the level of people that work in like a busy shop that also does a lot of like rentals,
right,
restoration and stuff like that, because they do it every day.
Right.
And I do it when I'm finished an instrument.
Right.
So it's just like it's a matter of scale. So I feel like I can set up an instrument well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I can set up an instrument perfectly necessarily. But I can make the bridge feet fit. I can make the sound post fit. I've got tips and tricks on like how to sort of get there a little quicker. But at the end of the day, it all just comes down to repetition and getting comfortable enough with the tools that the tools can guide the work.
Right.
So,
okay.
It just means you gotta fuck up a lot of bridges and sound posts, man.
Right.
Ultimately.
So when I come,
the first thing that I was ever taught to do by Tom is a really good exercise, and so I'd like to do this with you at some point. And that is to make sound post stock by hand.
Oh yeah, round it out, yeah.
Yeah. So we can do that. Right now if you're tired of working on that knife.
Well, no, I finished the knife and I've actually got it to where I'm getting off like nice curls. I don't know. Here, if you look on the big screen, check this out. Oh, yeah. I've managed to be able to get that, so that's kind of exciting. And now I'm, got this to the apron, right? So, I mean, if you'd like to stop and then work on that, that's fine. Actually, I will let you know, I do need to leave in like 10-15 minutes because I have to get to where I'm going. Because it starts at 8, but I'm meeting somebody beforehand, and we are going. Anyway, I don't need to sit here and describe all this to you because I'm sure you got more important stuff to do. But I have to leave in the next like 10-15 minutes. So like, we wouldn't have enough time to make a sound post in 15 minutes, would we?
I have enough time to make a sound post in 15 minutes. I don't know if I have enough time to teach you
right.
to make a sound post in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's something we should mess with another time.
Right.
We can call it good right here, or if you have any questions, we can talk about it for the next few minutes and then just go when you need to go.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, if you'd like, you can work on what you were doing, and I can keep grinding this away until like, if I have any questions that pop up until then, I can ask you. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Whoops. Go.
block for the corners. That's good. That's basically what the crossing file is for. So if you're happy with the contoured sanding block, you don't necessarily need the crossing file. It's handy for certain other things as well, but it's not a must-have.
Right.
Just want to let you know.
So, what if I really like the idea of having a crossing file because I don't need to cut out a piece of 220 grit sandpaper and then hold it really tightly to it, and I can just use the crossing file? That sounds pretty nice, right? And that steel is always going to be straight, right? Like it's like, I mean, I'm not bending my crossing file, so yeah, I like the crossing file. I could not believe when I went onto that shop just how stinking cheap their files were. That was unbelievable. They're selling files for like $16.
They're a really good deal.
Yeah. Ooh.
So I like what I'm seeing. I'm just watching you
Oh.
on the big screen and trying to think if there's anything I have to comment. It doesn't have to be right this minute, but at some point, you might want to gouge off or chisel off some of the wood that's part of the curve, but beyond where the eventual corner is going to be, because it's just in your way. You don't need to work that. You know what I mean?
Perfect.
So you can pare off that waist down to say 2 millimeters off the corner edge, because obviously you're going to get rid of the rest of it eventually. But that way it won't be in the way of contour sanding, or it won't be in the way of gouge work.
Right.
And eventually, of course, when you are ready to mount the seat out ribs, that stuff will be very much in the way of getting a fit where it counts.
Right. So then, one thing I want to... the very first time I did this operation, I made the mistake of cutting off too much, right? I pared off too much, and then it was awkward to set that 45-degree angle here that sets our final tip height, right? I don't know the best way to describe it. So long as I'm not biting anywhere below that 2 millimeter point this way, vertically, we're okay, right? Okay, perfect. I'm going to do that right now then. I can't hear you.
Obviously, give yourself a margin, that 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters,
right.
Whatever you're comfortable with, essentially. But you don't need to have all that on there, because it could very well be in your way.
Right. No, it is in my way. Yes.
But I think you might be out of time.
Oh, it's 8:20. Oh, it's 6:26. Gosh, that was 26 minutes, and I'll tell you this: it felt like it was like 5. So, dang it. Okay. Well, I'll have you know, I have my score. Here, I've got my score of Beethoven 7 printed out right here. Super excited. But I'm gonna spend the entire time thinking about this stinking bench. I can't help it. You know, I'm sucked in. So, Jackson, thank you very much.
Sure. Let's do it again.
When are you available?
We may want to find a time other than Fridays, just because I had, when we scheduled it, I wasn't thinking about my therapy appointment, which is a recurring thing. But we can talk about that later.
Okay.
Try to put violins out of your mind for a little bit and just enjoy the concert.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Jackson, I hope to hear from you again soon, huh?
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Talk soon.
All right. Bye.